What's up, everybody? How are you guys doing today? Man, I can't believe how much days are running, man. We're actually at the middle of 2022. And I just thought, guys, I should come here to let you guys know of what we planned at the beginning of this year and how it's going right now. I decided to name this video A Journey to One Africa. At the beginning of this year, I remember I came here and I told you guys what we're going to be standing for. I laid down pretty much the foundation of 2022. And the first thing it was that this is going to be a year of action. Love in action, peace in action, and unity in action. We ain't just going to talk, but we're going to put on the action on what we preach and what we talk about. And you guys remember that we have been doing that so far. Even my trip to Ethiopia, you guys have seen everything. I've been broadcasting almost every single day, more than 80 different videos ever since I touched to Ethiopia to the time I leave. I was just doing every single day, guys. And not only that, but there's so many different actions that we have been doing to make sure that what we preach is what we do. In 2022, we have to be brutally honest with ourselves. If you want to see change, then we have to tell each other what is the problem, all right? It's okay to fight, it's okay to argue with words, but at the end of the day, we have to be honest with ourselves because you don't want to be hypocrites. If it's our problem, we have to address the problem the way it is. We cannot just point fingers at leaders, but we have to point fingers at ourselves that A, B, C, D, we are not doing right. And that's what we've been doing so far. After that, guys, we started to come with different campaigns. First campaign, it was hashtag One Africa in our generation. We have been fighting for One Africa for a long time. And if we don't have the targets, if you don't have the vision, if you don't have the point that we want to hit, then it's not gonna happen. And we don't really want to have One Africa on papers, but we want to have One Africa between me and you guys. So we started in our community to make sure that we are opening the doors so almost everybody out there, want them to feel at home when they come to Soil Nation One Africa platforms and to experience that, because that's how we connect and we unite our people. And so far, that's what has been happening. And we know that there's so many different things that we need to achieve. For example, having free visa, within African countries, or on arrival, like you go to the country and then you get visa right away, you can just enter the country. Those are kind of actions that will actually help us to unite our people even more. And our focus has always been from the bottom up. All right, we care a lot those people from the bottom because we are from the bottom, you know what I'm saying? Farmers and people, most of the time we don't pay attention. We have seen that pattern most of the time in our politicians. Most of the time they just end up, sitting in the office and they don't really connect with their people. And I'm not talking about everybody. There are those kind of politicians are doing that, but our focus has been from the bottom up to make sure that we are lifting our people from below, all the way from the ground. And that's why we don't care whatever profession that you have. If you're a farmer, if you're a doctor, if you're a teacher, this is your platform because this platform is for Africans. And we believe that when we focus on the bottom up, then it's very easy for us to achieve One Africa because at the bottom, that's where a lot of people are. In Africa, at the top, it's just very few people. Most of them, they're leaders, they're billionaires, but a lot of people we have at the bottom. Most of our countries are not middle income countries, but they're low income countries. And so we want to focus on them to make sure that we bring them up and we have that One Africa with our people. Later on, we introduced another campaign, hashtag Proud African. And this was influenced by my trip when I went to Ethiopia. I realized that a lot of people, yes, they're proud of their ethnicity, their tribes, and where they're coming from. And that is good. We should be proud of all those things. But when you go to the countries that are actually facing a lot of challenges when it comes to tribes, then we have to be very careful how we address that. And so we came up with hashtag Proud African, that instead of hashtagging your tribe, something that is going to create this sensitivity, not only that, but it's going to create a little groups within our Africa, and we don't want to have that. Why don't we hashtagging Proud African so that every single African out there will actually be included in this one hashtag Proud African, be the change Africa needs, because whatever tribe you're coming from is Africa. My tribe is African. My tribe is One Africa. What I was saying is that whatever tribe you're coming from, you have to remember that is Africa, and you are included within Africa. So let's hashtag Proud African. Let's hashtag Proud your country. For me, I would say Proud Tanzanian. That means I include all Tanzanians with me. But because I don't want to leave other Africans aside, that's why I also say Proud African, so that all Africans may come together and realize that we are actually one. And that has been going on so far. And be the change that Africa needs is that our continent needs change. There's a lot of things that we need change. And Most of the time we're looking at the leaders, we're looking at the people that will bring change to what we do have, but it's a time for us to actually be the change, because Africa is craving and crying for change, and that change is me and you. And now we came up with another campaign, #change to change, which means I cannot change anything if I don't change myself, right? If I want to change Africa, #change Africa, then I have to focus on myself. I have to focus on changing my perspective, changing on how I see Africa, changing on how I see other people who are coming from different tribe, different religion, different race from mine. You know what I'm saying? If I change that, then I'm changing the continent, then I'm changing Africa, I'm changing my country, my society, right? These are different campaigns that we're releasing and we're coming up with to just motivate our people and to motivate every single one of you, to give you guys a little bit of a direction that this is where we're going. And so how are you gonna do it? It's up to you. You can figure out, you can give suggestions, you can do this and that, but for us, our job is to show the direction and actually to give you guys a little bit of example of how we do it. And I know that you guys have been seeing how we do it. We have succeeded to have live stream every single day. We have more than just one host. Before it was me, but now we have more other different hosts. So we have shows every single day. All right, on Monday, hosting different CEOs, YouTubers, influencers, and different interviews and conversation. And on Tuesday, we have Tanzan. She's hosting the show of African traditions. Wednesday, we have Professor Ezra, he's hosting Education in 21st Century. And Thursday, we have Dr. Ebenezer. He always talks about potential in Africa. And on Friday, we have Pastor Ezra. He's pretty much doing a weekly recap of what's going on in Africa and in Soil Nation One Africa. And on Saturday, we have Big E. He's talking about diaspora. All right. And on Sunday, we have Wenda Tezi with the show of the hidden hands. And all of this. And also on Thursday at 6 p.m., we have another show, Swahili session, hosted by Paul Justin. And all these things is in the mission of achieving that one Africa in our generation. And I do believe we can do that, because we have to be an example. We have to live by the example, lead people by the example. We can't just talk, but we have to do it. That's why we encourage one another, that guys, please, let's continue to do it. Let's continue to be engaged in all these campaigns so that we make sure that we have that one Africa. And what I want to ask you guys is to be involved. This is the time not to sit down and to watch, but to stand up, to work, and to actually be involved. Because I'm telling you, man, it's happening, guys. And nobody's going to stop us. You have seen so many letters that we have written. We have wrote letter to colonial powers to ask for all the heritage to bring back to Africa, because our mission is protect and prevent the image and bring back all the heritage of Africa, and to decolonize the mind through authentic knowledge, and to create a bridge for oneness and a peaceful Africa. That is our mission. And every single thing, every single session we are doing, every single behind the scene and on the screen we are doing, it has been based on that mission. A couple museums in the United States have been releasing artifacts. They are going to release some artifact to Benin. And that is because one day we actually left our One Africa letter into the museum in the United States. And we sent some other letters into the Netherlands, a couple of the museums that are holding African artifacts. And we hope we can send to almost all the museums out there. And we release those letters publicly. And some of you guys, you shared to spread the word everywhere. Right, we wrote a letter to some organization when our brothers and sisters were held in the Ukraine, and you guys, that they were released after that letter. We wrote a letter to President of France, after what happened to Mali, and you guys, what has happened there right now. They don't have French troops anymore, and we've always been talking about that. So all of these are the actions that we have been actually putting on 2022. And there's so many other things that I cannot tell you guys. We're expecting to have our website very soon. I've seen already the sample of what is happening, man. The website is beautiful. It's amazing. You guys will love it. Next year, we'll be having our application. All these things are in the process of action and making sure that we have everything it takes, everything we need to achieve One Africa. So we're going to be everywhere. All right, we're going to have branches everywhere. We have headquarters here in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, but we're going to have branches everywhere to make sure that we connect our people everywhere, because we have so many resources in Africa, and that is human resources. More than 60% of Africa's population, they're under the age of 25 years old. That is human resources. And we're going to connect our people everywhere they are. Even those who left Africa a long time ago and maybe they lost hope for Africa because of what has been happening in Africa, we are bringing them back. Not necessarily physically to come back home. No, we're bringing them back to one Africa. You know what I'm saying? We're bringing them. We want their interest. We want their focus. We want their investment to come back to the continent and to support our people. And that's what we are focusing on, man. And this is for you guys. This is not about me. It's not about me. It's not about anybody else out there. But it's about one Africa. It's about bringing our people together. We have been divided so much. The other day I was having a conversation with one of my brother from Angola. Actually, the name Angola, it's not the real name of that country. The name of that country is Angola, which means the kingdom. You know, but those Portuguese, when they came, they changed it to Angola. Even the capital city is not Luanda, it's Luanda. But they changed it to something else. And that's what they've done everywhere. When they came to Africa, they changed. But they didn't just do that. Angola Kingdom, it was actually part of Congo Kingdom long time ago. It was one country. But they came, they divided it. And when you look at the map of Congo, map of Africa, you'll see that some part of Angola is actually within the country of Congo. But when you look at all these borders that we have, it's actually one people. Those people at the border, they speak the same language, they understand each other, they're actually one people. And this is what we always say, that Africa is actually one people. And when we say one Africa, it's not a new concept. It's something that has always been there. And we want to bring our people back together. But because of colonialism, so people in Angola Kingdom, you know, they're speaking Portuguese. Here in the Congo Kingdom, they're speaking French. So they cannot really connect with one another, because until right now, they're still learning those kind of different languages. We have to bring our people together. And we cannot do it without you guys. I want you guys to be involved, like these videos, share our videos, and we spread the word out there so that everybody will know about one another. And that's what we need. There's so many other things that we have achieved, and I'm not going to tell you guys today, but one day I'll come here and tell you again, one by one. But by now, I just want to tell you guys that we are moving. A journey to one Africa has just begun, and we are going there, and we're going to achieve in our generation. Please be encouraged. Don't lose hope, because we're marching towards one Africa, and we're going to see it very soon in our generation. We're working for our next generation as well. We don't forget them. And we want to see better and strong Africa, not only today, but 20, 50, 100 years to come. And we are building a new system that will work for our people inside the continent and outside the continent. And nobody at that time will look down on Africa. And we are the one that we're going to change that by changing ourselves and stepping outside of our comfort zone and change something out there. Guys, I love you. Thank you so much for listening to this, and I'll see you very soon. Be the change that Africa needs. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, how are you guys doing? It's actually really hard to look at myself here. I mean, to listen to myself all this time. That's just how I feel. But hey, it's good to be back, guys. Welcome everybody to Swahili Nation One Africa. This is great. I have my guests here already. They're waiting to come here on screen, and I'm gonna put them in just in a second. But I really want to thank God for this opportunity to meet up and to have this conversation. I want to ask you guys to do one thing, all right? Copy this link and share with somebody out there. I know some of you will be watching this right now. Some of you will be watching this later after we upload it. But for those who are watching right now, please copy this link and share with someone out there, because the conversation that we're going to have here today, it's going to be very important. I think it's just that moment of getting to know one another and to encourage one another. And me, honestly, I'm here today to learn, to listen, and to grow, because that's all that we need as here in Africa. I appreciate you guys. Today in the 6 p.m. East African time, we had another conversation with an amazing lady from South Africa. You guys can watch that. We're talking about metro farming. Check that out video. It's already on YouTube. And this is another conversation, but also have another exciting news. Guys, we finally found the place where we want to establish our offices, Swahili Nation One Africa offices. And we want you guys to be involved. So any way that you want to participate and support, we created a GoFundMe page. So please, you can go there and you can share this page and you can donate any amount of money that you do have. We found a nice location, a good offices, and we'll be able to show you guys very soon, how it looks like. I'm going to film the special video to show you guys where it's going to be the future, Swahili Nation One Africa headquarters. So we want your support. We need you guys to be involved. You can use this link. It's already in the comment section. You can go through that and, donate. I pin all the way at the top. It's right there. So you can use that and spread the word. Hopefully very soon, if everything goes well, then maybe even next week we might be there already, doing our work live from the office and not from home, just like right now. All right. Before I begin this conversation today, I'm just gonna, raise a word of prayer, and then I'll have my brothers here ready for the conversation. All right. Thank you for everybody who is joining right now. I appreciate you guys for coming in. Well, God, I thank you for today. I thank you for this moment and this conversation that we're going to be having here. I pray that you give us your wisdom and understanding, and most importantly, it's for our people. We're doing this for our people. So I pray that everything will just, go fine because you're right here with us. In your name I pray. Amen. All right. Guys, without wasting time, all right, I'm really excited to have my brothers here today. So without wasting time, let me bring them in. I have my brother here, Anton Anderson and Bernard Park. Hey, how are you, my brothers?
Mika!
Doing great. Hey.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hey, it's great to see you guys. Man, it's good to have you here on my space, because this is my comfort zone.
That's right. Worldwide, baby. Worldwide. Yes.
We are thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys for coming in. I know I told you in a very short notice, and last week we had a conversation. I'm still waiting for that episode. When is that episode coming out, by the way?
That'll come out in a couple weeks. Actually, we have a few other guests before you, so it'll be coming out. We will let you know the second it is ready.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I think we're gonna get into that very soon. But I just wanted to have you guys here. To have a conversation with you. I know you guys are in the United States right now, but I was going through your biography. There's a lot of things that you guys are doing, including Sky is Black. I think we're going to be talking about that. And I just wanted to have you guys here to hear from you. And I know a lot of people that will be watching this, and they'll be motivated, to know a lot of stuff from you. And me as well, I'm here to learn. Last time you guys were talking to me, but today I'm here, talking to y'all. So if you don't mind,
you flipped it on it. That's great.
and I didn't want to fair play. Yes. I wanted to do it right away, so I'm glad that we are doing this, right away. I would love to, maybe we can have a little bit of introduction to kind of, introduce yourself, what you're doing, and anything, important you'd like people to know about you. We can start with my brother there.
Anton, you want to go first?
You want me to go first? I can go first, certainly.
Either one.
BC and I are the co-hosts of Sky is Black. We
That's right.
are a worldwide Pan-African podcast. We are focused on innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders of African descent, covering the entire globe. The idea behind that, BC and I went to high school together, and it was one of those things. He and I had reconnected about a year and a half ago. Was it? Was it a year and a half ago?
Thereabouts. Vibranium time. It's all relative.
Wow. Yeah, you guys went to high school together.
I mean, he looks much younger. He looks much younger than me, just to be clear. So I'm the young kids have graded me out. But what was interesting was that he and I were talking about a number of different things, and because as a historian by trade, he and I were talking about like how especially during, at least here in the United States, all the things that were going on during the pandemic and during kind of this reconciliation, this reawakening to so many of the injustices that are happening to Black people, not only worldwide, but specifically in the United States with the death of George Floyd. And there were all these things that were going on. And we had been talking about how great it was that there was so much of a sense of recalling and recollecting our history. And part of the conversation was, that's great. I mean, obviously you need to have a recognition of the history. You need to have restorative justice. But then he and I were just talking casually about, like, okay, that's great, but who's taking us forward? Who's taking us into the future? Who's taking us to, wherever we collectively want to be? And we were joking around. It's like, he asked me, well, where do you want to be? And I'm like, I want to go to Wakanda. That's where I want to go. I want to go there. I mean, that to me, that was such a compelling thing. My son asks for that when we're driving when I'm dropping off to school. He's like, play the Wakanda soundtrack again. He loves it. He wants the drums and he wants to hear it all. And so part of our conversation was, obviously, that was just a movie, but it's one thing to remember your past, and it's one thing to make the here and now correct, and to get us back to where we're all one people, all equal to each other, all human beings on one planet. But who is taking us into the future, and specifically, with the larger African family, who is taking us to the future? And that was really the impetus of the podcast. I'll admit that part of what crystallized it, what sort of caused it to really tip over beyond that conversation, was a book that asked the question. It's a book by N.K. Jemisin, and the title prompted my conversation, which was "How Long Until Black Future Month?" Every February we celebrate Black History Month, here in America, and it's like, okay, which is great, a wonderful thing. Yeah. But how long to the future? How long do we have to wait for the future to show up? And there are people like yourself who are making the future happen right now. Yeah. And so that was really the impetus behind that, was to highlight and really elevate, not so much BC and myself, because I'm no big deal, but really to emphasize, people who are moving all of us forward. And one last thing, we often say this on our show, because obviously, we're catering towards the Black diaspora and to our family there, but also we're catering to the whole human family. And for those who aren't in the Black diaspora, why should they care? Why is it relevant for them? And the obvious answer, which you and I discussed already, is that we're all human, right? It's humanity. But then also, if all of Africa, if we become that vision, if we become one Africa, if we all get there, if we all get to the proverbial Wakandas of the world, or if we establish, what makes sense of that into this reality, then the whole world's a better place. We all get to go. Everyone gets to be a part of it, and everyone gets to enjoy some of the benefit of that. And so it's like, hey, if we get to Wakanda, all the rest of you guys get to come along, and even if you don't want to go, it's still, the world's still a better place. And so that's really kind of what we've been all about, is making sure that we, elevate and highlight those who are getting us there.
Perfect. That's so good. Yes, Bernard.
Well, I am, excuse me, I am the founder of Recollect Media, actually, which is a platform for really sort of the study and the celebration of Pan-African history and culture. It's really sort of about, as Anton mentioned, where we have been, where we are right now, and for Sky is Black, where we are going. And so, but the biggest thing that I'm a father of two girls, and Sky is Black for me is about preparing the world for them. And so you talk about that a lot, Mika, about sort of future generations and why we do the work that we do. I'm a father, Anton is a father. And so the work that we're doing is what needs to be done on their behalf. And so it is driven by love and passion and in honor and respect of our ancestors who have come before us. And so you see the little image that we use for Sky is Black. And for us, that person there represents our our ancestors' wildest dreams. I mean, the
Yeah.
wildest of our ancestors' wildest dreams. And so it is an honor to do the work that we're doing, and we're literally just beginning. Now,
Yeah.
before you
Just
have
getting started.
before you go on,
Mm.
Meek, I want to say something.
Mm.
I was watching some stuff over the weekend. As you know, there are a lot of different platforms to watch content. You can watch things on Netflix,
Yeah.
HBO, Disney, Paramount, all these
Mm.
different things. But I got to tell you,
Mm.
the thing that I enjoyed this weekend was
Mm.
watching you go through the new Science and Technology Museum in Addis
Oh.
Ababa. That
Oh.
had everything. There was nothing that I saw or wanted to see that
Yeah.
compared with that.
Mm.
Would you
Wow.
mind if you would just tell me what that experience was like walking through there, because I haven't seen it yet and can't wait to get there.
Man, I love that. By the way, I love the fact that you asked me that question, because this is supposed to be a conversation. Like, it's not an interview. I'm not a journalist, so it's just a conversation like that. Well, that was really amazing experience. First of all, because I never expected to see something like that. First of all, they didn't even tell us that you guys were going to see the Science and Technology Museum. They didn't tell us that. They just was like, okay, we're gonna show you the city and something like that. So we went to, Addis Ababa Park, and then we went to Friendship, and then we went to Unit, and before we got to Unit, that's where they brought us to this amazing building. It almost looks like Apple headquarters. The way
It
somebody
does.
say it's influenced by that. I For a moment I feel like I was in the space, and I thought, I was thinking like, okay, what is this? Like, it looks really amazing. It might be like maybe government offices or something they're building, but the guy told us that, by the way, let me show the video here. He told us that this is the Science and Technology Museum of Ethiopia. I mean, they're building it here, and they'll be able to actually start it very soon. And I was really surprised, because when you go throughout the continent of Africa, it's rare to find something like that, right? Things that you will find it's kind of like I mentioned in the video. You'll find like some historical stuff, right? We really care a lot about culture in Africa, and I think that's what we focus on most of time. And entertainment, in a way, that's why everybody kind of have like stereotypes that Africans, all they can run, all they can dance, all they can sing, all they can do all these kind of things.
Yep.
But
And we could do all that and more.
Yeah, and more. Yes.
And more.
We have doctors, we have engineers, we have all this stuff, right?
Yes.
Not just musicians and comedians, right? We can do more than that.
Everything.
And so it was just amazing for me, to see this project, and to know that, oh man, I think in the next few years, the future generation will be in a good place, because having something like that in Africa, it's huge. First of all, I think it's the first one to have something in Africa like that. And I'm not sure about the world. I haven't seen other museums, or centers of science and technology. But but this is very special, and it was just overwhelming to see that. And I realized that, man, we actually have people who they really think a lot about Africa, and they really want to transform, and that's why I took that moment to appreciate for this project, because it's amazing, and you can see the view at night. It's crazy. I think you've seen the last part of the video. Like
I did.
It looks
Yeah.
it's insane. Like at night, it's like the city is lighting up because of that, because of this building. And man, I still cannot wait to go back here when they're opening. I really want to go and kind of like do another video to show everything inside out. But
Did they say when it's finally? Did they say when it's finally going to be finished? Did they give a target completion date?
Well, I remember the guy who was telling us. He told us, this might be accomplished like within this year, because right now they're kind of like just finishing up inside, some stuff, but it's gonna take a lot of work. So hopefully at the end of this year, or next year, early next year, it will be up. But it's crazy.
Yeah, so for people who haven't seen this video, definitely check it out, because actually Mika does a little walkthrough inside of the building, and so you get a better sense of the scale and what it's going to be looking like eventually. So I loved it, and like I said, there was nothing on HBO or Netflix or Disney or anything that compared with me watching this video right here. So thank you. It was inspiring to me.
It was inspiring to me too. Thank you so much for that. I mean, it's one of those things that, you know, when you see it, you know, it defies, you know, for many people who've not had the opportunity to visit like you have, you know, who a chance to visit and be there on the continent. You know, these kinds of things defy people's expectations. It defies their stereotypes. And to me, that is fantastic. I mean, that's breaking, as you say many times, you know, decolonizing the mind, being able to realize that there are things in a culture and a vibrancy there that has always been there. And being able to see these sorts of centers established, I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, I appreciate that. There's a lot of different projects, I believe, you know, they're happening in Africa. And, you know, here, particularly in this place, you know, I went here and, you know, there's a library there that is happening. It's, you know, it's like, it's a right direction, to be honest. Like it's a right direction in one way, apart from the challenges that we are facing in Africa all the time, but it's a right direction. And it shows us that the future is bright. We just hope that, you know, the future leaders as well will continue, will have that continuity in Africa, because that's one of the issue. Like in Africa, when you have this leader, he's going to come and start new things. And then when you have another leader come and start the whole new thing, right? In a way, we seem like we don't have the vision for the country, or we don't have a vision for the continent in 20, in 15, 100 years to come. But if we do have that, that means the next leader will come and, you know, like continue with that and even start new projects that can actually, you know, in a couple of years, we'll have a lot of scientists and engineers, you know, coming from Africa.
Amen.
Well, all right. Yeah, let me guys ask you this one question. How important it is for you guys to hang on your heritage and identity as an Africa? Because I know the Sky is Black is the show that you guys always have all these different influencers and different people, you know, from African roots. How important is that to hold on to that and to actually you know, talk about that, or, you know, the work that you guys are doing? I know there's a lot of people in the diaspora watching this right now, and I would like to hear your opinion from that.
It is everything to me. I can only speak for myself, but I do think I speak for Anton a little bit as well, that I hold on to my African heritage with an iron fist. I get into heated conversations sometimes with people who will say that I'm not African. I never let another human being on this planet say that I am not African, because I never gave that away. I never gave that up.
Exactly.
And my posture is that my ancestors who came over, survived the Middle Passage, made it to America, did not survive so that their children's children can turn around one day and say they're not African. It's like, no. That to me is the ultimate disrespect, the epitome of disrespect. And that is not something that I ascribe to at all. And so my posture as an African American is I'm fully African and fully American. I am both of those things. So it's not even 100% or 110. It is 200% fully African and fully American. You stole math right there.
You stole my line, actually, because I would say that I'm 100% African and 100% American. I mean,
that's right.
There are many people in the United States who would say, well, you're not one of the real Americans. And I would argue them quite heavily, saying,
that's
you know,
right. That's right.
Those of us, African Americans here on the continent, especially those who are the descendants of those who were brought here against their will, I would argue and say, actually, we are more American than just about anybody, because we are a product. We were manufactured in America. And yet you cannot deny the fact that we are African to the core. We all have that aspect to us, in terms of not only in terms of how we look, but also in terms of our sensibilities and who we are. And so, you know, could you take that away? Would I still be myself if suddenly somehow you were able to extract, you know, the African aspect out of me? No, I wouldn't be who I am. It's an integral part of who you are. And one of the things that we talk about frequently on the show is that the argument that I make is, and Bernard stole my line, is that you know, my challenge usually is with the dash. When someone says, "Oh, you're African dash American," you know, "You're Asian dash American," "You're this dash American," and I would say no. 100% African, 100% American. The dash suddenly, you know, qualifies you and say, well, you're not like, you're some, you know, you're not, you know, fully this or fully that. And if you tried to flip it and say, well, you're American African, I would argue with that too. I would say, you know, 100% on both sides, and it's a key part of who we are, and it's one of those things to where, you know, what it looks like when we've achieved what I believe we all want is simply that co-equal. It isn't, you know, it's no, you don't see anyone saying, "Oh, I'm French American." You might be a Francophile, or you might say, "I'm French," but you're still American, right? Or you are, you know, even our brothers up north, directly north of us, they'll say, "Oh, I'm Canadian," but they're American, you know, and so that to me is what it means, is when you have that co-equal level of existence, which isn't denying any aspect of it, because it's all one package.
200%, baby. 200%.
Let me add 800% more. 1,000%.
That's right. 1,000%. There we go.
And one thing I'd like to add real quick though is,
take your time.
I think that it's so important that at least for those of us in the diaspora, to also make an effort to reinforce that connection, reinforce the connection that we have to the continent, to reinforce that understanding of how deep your roots go. Because one of the things that was stolen from those of us who weren't born and raised there on the continent is that longitudinal, that long-term sense of who you are, you know, and so it's I'm not a psychologist, I won't even pretend to be one, but it's one of those things to where not having that deep level of attachment, you know, you see other people say, "Oh yeah, you know, I can trace my roots back to, you know, XYZ, you know, portion of, you know, this one town in Ireland," and which I think is wonderful that they're able to do that, and they're, you know, able to look at old records and they find some stone carving of their, you know, their great, going back generations after generations. Whereas here, you know, it gets a little muddy. You know, you get back, and I'm not trivializing this, but you get back, you know, like I've got uncles of mine who've gotten back down to the level of receipts, to where they're like, okay, we get to that, but then you can't get too much further. There's kind of like this barrier, and you can't get past that. It's like, okay, we've got some ledgers and some receipts from when they were, you know, during the chattel slavery days, but in terms of going back and say, okay, well, where did that person come from? Where are they from? And at least with my immediate family, we've been trying, you know, we can't get much further than that. And that's where I would say that for, you know, I think for many people in the diaspora, you know, it's just a matter of like, okay, well, now you kind of have to take a little bit of a leap of faith and say, well, you're from Africa. So now it's a matter of, and what's interesting about that, at least for me, is that, you know, when you're growing up, you know, you get the family that you're born with. You kind of like, you're stuck with your parents and everything else. But then when you're an adult, you get to kind of choose your family. You get to make your family. You can choose, you know, who you're going to keep and who maybe you're like, well, maybe so-and-so, you know, maybe, you know, of course we're related by blood, but maybe, you know, they're not going to be a deeper part of my life. And as an adult, you get to choose your family to an extent. And I think the onus for all of us in the diaspora is now we have, as adults, as awakened, fully realized people, we can say, okay, well, now we're going to give back, reconnect, and we can choose, you know, choose our level of engagement. And I would encourage everyone to be engaged in it, but also choose sort of how you're going to reconnect and tap into that.
But I also think too, though, because many of us in the diaspora don't know specifically where we are from,
Yeah.
it is very easy for me to embrace the one Africa philosophy. I mean, because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not
Right.
more, I'm not more,
Mm.
I don't have more allegiance to Nigeria than I do to
Mm.
Tanzania or Egypt or South Africa. My allegiance is to
Mm.
humanity, to God, and
Yeah.
to justice and righteousness and goodness
Mm.
and love and mercy and
Mm.
all those
Mm.
things.
Mm.
And so my allegiance is to bringing us all together, as you say,
Yeah.
under the banner of one Africa.
Mm.
So
That's
it is
beautiful.
easy for me. It is easy
I
for
agree
me.
100%. Yes.
Exactly. So, extending to that question, that drawing back your roots and like
Mm,
kind of like embracing that roots of Africanness, there's
yes.
always a challenge of connecting these two different parts, right? Those
Hmm.
Africans who were born a long time ago outside of Africa in the
Hmm.
diaspora, and those who are living in the continent.
Hmm.
And that's one of our tasks here. We're kind of like trying to kind of reduce that gap between
Yes.
these two different parts, so that
Hmm.
Yep.
when you guys come to Africa, you don't feel like you're in a totally new place, right? But you have a sense of home, not just because it's Africa, but because of how we as a local Africans are seeing you, right? Likewise, when we get a chance to go to the diaspora, we can actually connect with our people who are there. And
That's
how do
right.
we do that? Like how can we work towards that? And for that, I'm specifically asking about our mission and what we do, to do that. I want to hear your opinion, guys.
I think the first thing is, I mean, the obvious thing, which only say very briefly, is just
Mm.
recognize our shared humanity. So that's one. So
Mm-hmm.
two, so that's kind of a given. And then
Yeah.
secondly,
Mm.
recognize our shared heritage. It's one of
Mm.
those things to where
Oh yeah.
one of the wonderful joys of so much history being documented. I mean, part of the challenge is that so much of it wasn't documented, but now
Mm.
there are scholarly people, uh, both from the diaspora, from on the continent, and even
Mm.
those from the outside who are undertaking this challenge of documenting all these things. And then
Mm.
and then you begin to see the through line. You begin to see the
Mm.
through line with regards. I'll use one, and I'm not remembering it well, so I apologize. But when I saw a series of posts talking about drumming and how drumming was being banned,
Mm.
in different colonies and different areas. But that whole
Absolutely.
idea of because it was a means of communication and a long distance communication, which
Mm.
Africans don't have a lock on that. But the idea of being able to thwart that
Yeah.
communication to keep us from all connecting with each other, and how
Mm.
yet that has manifested in so many different musical traditions that
Mm.
a lot of people think of as different, but all are actually
Mm.
tied together. You see,
Yeah.
Afro-Cuban music, and you see a lot of things that are happening in the Caribbean. You see a lot of things happening in America, and you hear a lot of music that's happening there on the continent. And as you begin to see those connections, you're like, oh, it's all a shared cultural heritage. It's all a
Yeah.
that has blossomed and grown across the
Mm.
world.
Mm.
And so, you know, so that would be the thing, be to recognize that shared heritage, and
Mm.
then open your mind.
Yeah.
Anytime you meet someone, I mean, I try to go from a position of goodwill and of faith.
Yeah. Mm.
So if I meet someone new, I always
Mm.
try to be, open and assume goodwill and good faith, and
Mm.
and and not allow the preconceived notions that are out there
Mm.
to
Mm.
to
Mm.
to to put
Yeah.
blinders on. Allow myself to be open and to be receptive to that, and to try to and look for those connections, because once you find them,
Yeah.
then
Mm.
it's incredibly exciting, and you're like, wait a minute, that's
Mm.
that's something that my that my cousin was doing. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that, just to me is a wonderful world of possibilities, when you
Mm.
allow yourself to be open to that.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
think you answered part of that question in the video that you
Mm.
produced, specifically
Yep.
talking about the relationship between Angola and Congo,
Mm.
saying that
Oh
the
yeah.
original nation of Angola was Ingola, and just
Mm.
talking about sort of the people and the culture and the language. There's some crossover between those two
Mm.
sovereign countries, Congo and Angola. And to me, the answer
Mm.
is in that. And
Mm.
you can almost use a biblical phrase for that, in the way that um, Christ said, talking to some folks,
Mm.
saying that before Abraham was, I am.
Mm.
And so I
Oh
think
yeah.
that applies to us to some degree here as well, because
Mm,
before colonialism, we
mm,
were.
mm.
And so if we
Oh
can
yeah.
remember that
Oh yeah.
piece, and say, sure, that you're a citizen of Congo, sure, you're a citizen of Angola, sure, you're a citizen of, Egypt or Morocco or Mali or whatever. But let's just to
Yeah.
remember that before all these imaginary lines were drawn,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
were.
Mm,
That's not to say that we were
yeah.
perfect or didn't have sort of issues and sort of conflicts and things like that, because no one believes that. That's historically inaccurate to sort of put that
Yeah.
tale out there. But it is
Mm,
still
mm,
true that before colonialism, we were,
mm,
um,
mm,
and the more that we can
One
get
thing
back to
that
that,
I'm
the
going to
better we're
jump
going to
in
be.
on what Bernard's saying is that,
yeah.
it's one thing for us to always remember is that, anytime you see a straight line on a map,
Mm,
any part of the world, anytime there's a straight line, that
yeah.
tells you that that was a boundary drawn by us, by humans, where we've chosen to
Mm, mm,
divide, A from B. And
yeah.
so it's very, we need to remember a lot of times how, those lines are all artificial. And even the
Mm,
lines that, of rivers, the ones that are a little bit more organic, those are our
mm,
choices. No one else,
mm,
no other creature on this planet respects those lines. And
mm,
so,
mm,
you know, I mean, we actually have all learned that courtesy of this pandemic going on, is that those lines don't matter. And
mm,
what matters is that we're all one people. And
yeah.
so that I think is just so important for us to remember.
That's right.
Mm, mm. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, I'll have another question to ask you guys, and it's about, everything that is happening in the continent. I know you guys are,
Mhm.
well informed with the things that you're doing. Um, if there's a couple things that you guys can point out, because sometimes it's very easy to see, what's going on wrong, like when you're outside of the picture. I shared with you guys last week that, I had the reason why I have this passion is because I had to get out of Africa to see how Africa is being, treated, to come
Mhm.
back home and to,
Mhm.
to do something about it. So
Mhm.
I believe there are things that you guys are sitting there and seeing, looking what is going on, and that I know there's a couple of things that we know in common. But if there's anything that you guys know that I think, there are things that we need to work on, and I think there's need that we need to, as an Africans, we need to, improve in a way, because we need to be honest with ourselves that everything that is happening right here is not just because of colonialism or somebody else, but we play a big role to everything that is happening to us. And yeah, and I'd like to hear that from you guys.
Well, to me, standing outside, sort of looking at the continent right now, the thing that I'm focused on right now is sort of
Yeah.
the inter-country
Mm,
dialogue and exchanges that are happening. We know that Prime Minister of Ethiopia and the President of Nigeria got together recently to talk about some things
mm,
working together.
mm,
Um, there's also the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam that has just been completed, which is a huge thing to provide power to both Ethiopia and to Sudan and some other
mm,
areas. That is a huge thing, but it's also caused some conflict, quote unquote, between sort of Egypt and Sudan. And so figuring out those kinds of issues, to me, is significant, because those sort of high level discussions have a
mm,
huge impact on millions of people. And so we can't
mm,
allow what's happening with the GERD and the power potential there to be
mm,
undermined, because it has such a huge potential impact on real people in terms of everything that they're doing. And so that to me is significant. And so what is the African Union doing? Is it actually really sort of functioning as a union? Um,
mm,
are we sort of figuring out our own problems? And so the sort of standing outside of the continent, those are things that really sort of jump out to me. The African Union, how
mm,
countries are sort of working um, together or
yeah,
not fully
yeah,
together.
mm,
Um, and then also the big one for me too is housing. Um,
mm,
I'm There's such a huge need for housing across the continent, and so
mm,
uh, I certainly want to play a role in that in some form or another.
mm,
But that excites me, because in terms of sort of building communities, building homes, building neighborhoods, fortifies us for the next stage. And so, to me, housing community is everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say yes to that. And I think, Mika, a lot of the things you're doing in terms of some of the grassroots things are
Yes.
also incredibly important.
Yes.
Part of the challenge is that, governments aren't always the solution. I mean, governments obviously, they have the scale and the resources to do some things. And, and yet I would say that I would encourage everyone who's listening and who's watching this show. I would say the ideas, things that are working in your community, things that are working, that you're working at a micro level, that are working in your neighborhood, shout that from the rooftops. Shout those things from the rooftops, because I think what the larger governmental bodies need to learn is what's working. I mean, it's very easy to be in a government office and say, here's what needs to happen, sort of top down. And the fact is that because nobody has a lock on all information, there's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of solutions that are working, that have been working at sort of a grassroots community level that could be applicable. And to me, that is what I would also encourage for those of you who are doing something that's working. Document it. And especially, quite frankly, there on the continent, because not only is there a long history of resource extraction, which is happening still, but there's also a long history across the Black diaspora of idea and intellectual property extraction. I mean, I can give you a million examples of how one of us has come up with a really brilliant idea, but it only blows up when it moves somewhere else. And so I say, if you've got something that's working in your community, something that's working in your neighborhood, in your city, in your town, in your country, document it, refine it. And so that way we can then be brought forth as an idea, because the African Union and all these other intergovernmental agencies, they need great ideas. And there's obviously no one idea is going to work for every single person and for every single community, but to then have that larger menu of ideas that are available, that are working, because then it isn't some theory, but something that's actually in practice. And I think there are so many solutions out there that can be applied to solve so many problems, not only there on the continent, but I think worldwide. I mean, I think that's the untapped resource that I think is there on the continent. There's so many wonderful ideas, especially in a changing world, one that is challenged by conflict, and one that's challenged by climate change and things like that. A lot of the things that everyone's like, oh, what are we going to do when this happens? Well, and a lot of those things, people on the continent are like, well, we solve that. What do we do when it gets hotter, and how do we use less energy? How do we have more sustainable property and more sustainable buildings? It's been, I mean, in many cases, a lot of those solutions have been solved. How to have, buildings that don't require air conditioning or as much air conditioning. How do you make sure that you have, sustainable practices? Those solutions already exist, and it's a matter of taking those solutions, documenting them, as opposed to waiting for them to be discovered. Documenting them and then allowing them to move up.
And I would add two things to that as well. Anton mentioned documenting things. It reminds me of the importance of independent media for journalism and for information. That is huge. We're all familiar with the No More movement and the sort of push to get reliable information about Africa. So that is huge. That needs to be quote unquote solved. And the second thing comes from something that I learned from you. You had a guest on one of your shows the other day. I believe his name was Max Kofi. Who was talking about fair trade certification. And that whole concept, that whole idea, I agree with 100%. And so if we can see more of those kinds of things roll out over the coming years, we're going to be in a much better spot going forward. And the road to Wakanda will suddenly become much more tangible and much more significantly paved, and we'll be able to get there much faster.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Indeed. I believe before I bring on our guest here, he has a question for you guys. I want to ask one more question. I believe the future of Africa is bright,
Yes.
and especially if Africans, us as young generation that we're here right now, because that's the huge number in Africa, and also those Africans who are in the outside diaspora, if we join our hands together to actually do something about everything we see. I love what you say, Anton, that we cannot rely on government for everything, right? We need to take initiative and to do something, and I see a huge potential in this collaboration between us in the continent and diaspora in the outside. So in that regard, I want to ask a personal question about you guys. You guys are dads. I don't have a kid yet. You do have. Um, and we have a lot of people here. They're in the diaspora, and maybe they have babies. How do you guys do to make sure that I'm thinking how I can rephrase this question. How do you guys do to make sure that your kids are actually, embracing their identity as an African? I mean, not forgetting that, but also, hopefully one day to do something to bring back to the, community and, to this place. Because at the end of the day, I believe eventually one day a lot of Africans will be coming back home. Even right now, we have a huge number of diaspora here in Tanzania. They have communities everywhere. There's one community, I'm going to visit them very soon in Bagamoyo. Like, they have their own community. They do a lot of stuff, and some of them they're trying to build here in Dar es Salaam and some other parts. So a lot of Africans are actually coming back home, most of them. So, and I believe maybe in the future, a lot of them, they will come back home, because of everything, how, it's going on out there. And I just want to know that me, myself, as a future father, but also to those who are watching and they have kids, maybe they don't know, like, what to do, to inherit that to their children.
I'll jump in. I would say that, the first thing is, and this is not exclusive to this point, but the first step is education. My children are both very young. I have my son is 6 and my youngest daughter is 2. So it's a little bit hard for us to have these deeper conversations about, like, so when are you doing this? But a couple of things that we do, my wife and I in our household, is we make a point of reinforcing their pride in their culture. We make a point, we're bookish nerds in our house. So we have a lot of books in the house, but we specifically make sure that there are, not exclusively, but we make sure that there are lots of books that have protagonists that look like my son, that look like my daughter, and that have characters in the books that where it isn't just like a token experience, where it isn't just a sidekick. We have books in our house that are set in Africa, on the continent. We have books in our house, even kids books, like little, like those thick board books that the kids will my son used to chew on them, with the thick pages, but that are set in Africa, that tells stories of a child. I'd have to go and remember the exact title of it, but like there's this one book where the baby is strapped to the mom's back and they're going to market, and they're clearly not going to the farmer's market in Pasadena. They're going to, they're clearly on the continent, and it's a wonderful experience, and the kids having a wonderful time, and it's a fun story, and it's one of our favorites that we like to read because it's a great story. And yet it also reinforces the notion that, like, stories from Africa, about Africans, about people that look like him and that look like her, are co-equal with the other stories that we have in our home. And so, I would say having something that helps reinforce that on an ongoing basis, because the mainstream culture worldwide does not reinforce that. And the mainstream media, whether you're talking about, internet, television, books, all of it does not necessarily have that. There's more now than there were when BC and I were growing up.
Yeah.
But, that is, I would say, is sort of the tip of it that we push on, because then from there, when all those things are co-equal, when what you see, when someone who looks like you, when someone who comes from where you came from is no different than when you came from somewhere else, that then puts you on equal footing. And one of the things that we did, when at least for us, we go to a lot of birthday parties, which are when his classmates from school and things like that, and we don't give out a lot of toys as birthday gifts. We give out books, and we're not like always giving out like, here's the book on Wakanda, to all of his classmates, but more, we'll give a book. Like one of our favorite books was by Peter H. Reynolds. It was a book called The Word Collector. And we spent a whole year where every single birthday party we had, we gave out that book. And what was interesting about that book was that the author isn't black, but the main character in that book is a little black boy, and his hobby, rather than collecting, sneakers or stamps or whatever other things he collected words. And the story talks about how he had this collection of words, and one, it's a beautiful story regardless of who the protagonist is, and yet, because the subtle message is that you can have a black boy who collects words. There's nothing wrong with that. It's no different if the kid had red hair or blue or whatever, green kid, whatever it was. But here's a black boy collecting words, and we gave out that book. I think there's at least 24 kids who have that book now, because of the various birthday parties that we did. Felt like every weekend we were at a birthday party. But that message, especially for our children, I think is so important, that be proud of who you are, not to suppress anyone else's, but to be proud of who you are, and that you're 100% co-equal.
Beautiful.
I think that was a really good question, and I think it speaks to the ultimate question that we have to tackle in life, which is, who is my neighbor? Because the call that we have to each other is to love our neighbor as ourselves, and so. The challenge as a dad trying to sort of raise my daughters is to how to do both of those things, to really love yourself fully, totally, authentically, and then be free to love everyone else equally. It's not an either or situation. It's really sort of both and. So that's really sort of the heart of it. And the second piece is, it's just really getting the details and the facts. So before my daughters go to college, I mean, I have a sort of a list of things that they have to know how to do, and things that they have to know before they go anywhere. And a lot of that is really Pan-African history and culture, knowing names and dates and places and things along those lines, so that as they walk into adulthood, they are fortified with that information. And then the last thing is that I'm teaching them an African language. So they are learning Amharic, even though we're not necessarily Ethiopian. They're learning Amharic, because I think we're at a point in our history right now where we can start to honor our ancestors in that way, by reclaiming language and reclaiming culture in ways that we haven't been able to do before. So I'm very thankful for technology for that, because they're learning it online through a platform. It's called shebasjewels.com. So anyone around the world who's looking to learn Amharic, they can do it that way. And so my challenge as a dad is, now, do my girls want to learn Amharic? No, they don't. Are they excited about that? No, they are not. But it is my job as their father to make sure that they receive what they need to receive. I mean, there's many things that my parents did for me that I did not want to do at that particular time. I was like, no, Mom, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But as we grow older, we recognize the importance of those things. We become thankful. We become appreciative. And so I know that my daughters at some point down the line will see the value of it, will understand it, and will be able to sort of make a contribution to the world stage in a way that I cannot. But it doesn't always sort of look and feel that way at this particular moment because they don't want to do it. But there are things that need to be done. There are things that need to happen, and that's just part of parenting. And so when you have your children one day, you'll be doing the same thing. It's like I'm not giving this to you because you want it. I'm giving this to you because you need it.
You need it. Yeah.
And so I recognize what I haven't received, and my loving responsibility to them is to give them the things that I haven't received, and I know that they need very much.
Appreciate that, brother. Before I bring on, I have two people here, and I believe they have questions to ask. I'm going to bring one after another one. But before doing that, I just want to remind you guys as well, guys who are watching right now, please don't forget to subscribe. You can turn on the notification button as well. Share this link with somebody. But not only that, we just open up the GoFundMe page, and we are raising some funds for the establishment of Swahili Nation One Africa offices, headquarters here in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. So if there's any way you can support, here is the link in the comment section. You can go through that and support this cause. In the line right now, I have, I love calling him the brain because he's really the brain. He's the brain of Swahili Nation One Africa here. He has his own show on every Wednesday called Education in 21st Century. So he's always talking about education. And also he has his own academy in the States. And he's right here with us today to hear a question from him. His Excellency.
Hey, hi there. Actually, no question. It's more like kind of like a yeast. I just want to spread into this conversation a little bit to just maybe, because your guests have talked about the issue I'm about to talk about, but I want them to just be even bolder and go deeper into them. So I wanted to just, kind of like put in a little bit of my own kind of sauce into the mix of the conversation that you're having.
That's right. We need that sauce.
You guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you guys for coming and joining us in the Swahili Nation Network. Mika, thank you for putting together this. I don't know where you find these incredible people. I don't know where these people have been hiding out there in the universe, and then just right there in our fingertips. But we would just now they are reachable to us because of this platform. So we really appreciate you, Mika, for doing that. Thank you, the guests, for joining us. The sky is certainly absolutely black, not blue. It's not. So the reality. So we're talking the real stuff, true stuff. So the broader thing I wanted to talk about is like, I think you've all mentioned it a little bit here and there, but the broader topic, the broader point I wanted to make here is that, by the way, I'm in a car service waiting for my car to doing oil change, so that's why I don't have my camera on. So sorry, if I was at home, I would have put my camera on. So forgive me for that. But so the point I wanted to point out is that, like, a lot of people struggle with. Most of us don't struggle with identifying problems, and we always say this: the problem is this, the problem is this, and more often than not, we are actually accurate in our diagnosis of problems. The problem with Africa is exploitation. The problem with Africa is corruption. The problem with Africa is lack of opportunities and jobs. The problem is so it's not that these diagnoses are wrong, but the problem what I find with that sometimes is that I don't know whether it's conscious or unconscious, we assume the identification of problems automatically lend themselves to solutions. Like obvious solutions, So let me give you an example, and it just blew my mind because I worked on the ground in Ethiopia on this, and then experimented on this, and it was like, and it could have been something that could be used as an instrument, a solution, and then how do they manage to do it? It's amazed me. So the cluster farming has solved huge problems in Ethiopia right now. that has been a sticky problem since the emperor time, because land is so fragmented. There are over 35 million smallholder farmers in Ethiopia. And I'm sure this mirrors a lot of the conditions across Africa. It's not, even though I'm talking about Ethiopia, I'm sure you can superimpose this in Ghana, and it will almost be accurately the same thing. So over 35 million smallholder farmers, the average land size is about somewhere around 0.5 to 0.9 hectares per household. That's the average land size. I remember doing the research at the time. That's the number we saw. And usually these things don't lend themselves to mechanization, automation. They're just not scalable. Like, scale is not, you cannot impose scale on this. And there's a whole sort of land and politics and race and all of this, underneath this, the fragmentation of land. And because of the fragmentation of land, you cannot impose automation on it. So just recently, in 2018, they started experimenting what's called cluster farming. What they did is that during the non-rainy season in Ethiopia, about 8 to 9 months, where it's not a lot of rain, farmers, so they started, okay, let's plant this dry season wheat that you could use irrigation to farm. And I saw this video by the African Development Bank president. I think he's from Nigeria originally. He was so elated and excited about talking about how amazing it is. He experimented with, I think, 5,000 hectares in 2018. And in 2022 is on over 600,000 hectares. And for the first time, Ethiopia, I think is in over a decade, Ethiopia is not importing wheat.
Right.
So,
Fantastic.
And then they didn't resolve that sticky political element of the land fragmentation. But what they found was like, you know what, you guys are neighbors, you share lands together. Let's kind of create a cluster so that mechanization becomes easier without necessarily having to address the issue of, displacement of farmers, or, the industrial revolution approach of displacing farmers. So with the point I'm trying to make here, they identified the problem easy, but the solution didn't lend themselves by themselves. They required a different kind of spectrum of looking at things, from a completely flip side of it. Like, one way to look at it is like, what is the opportunity here that we can tap into? What is the low-hanging fruit we can tap into that can solve the problem? And I think like a lot across Africa, there are all sort of problems that have been solved like that. But they don't get airtime. They don't get, because you ask yourself, how do Africans survive under such condition? If I take an American family and then ask them to live or a European family to live in a condition that, these guys could be the smartest people, creating, innovating the most amazing technology according to the Western narrative. But if I put them in an African context, I don't think they can survive a day or two. But Africans do survive, but they do survive because of things they have figured out, right? So, like, how do you go about addressing this issue, this dichotomy of talking about the problem, but at the same time really separating that from talking about the solution that are completely different, what I call the open field approach. These are farmers that are not listening to the media in the West, in Ethiopia. These are not farmers that listen to the media in the West. They don't listen to the politics in the West. And so, okay, I'll come there. Sorry, my car is ready. But I'll land my point here for you guys. But I would really want you to hopefully it's enough source for you to just really explore and really, kind of break it down and see what the point here is that, there's so many things that can be solved. Recently Mika was showing a video. I was so blown by it. 2 videos, the library that you showed in Ethiopia and the science museum.
Aberholt.
Yeah.
Aberholt, and the science museum is even the next level. I'm like, they're not building a palace. They're building not just a science museum, but a groundbreaking one. The one where they will do research, there will be a center of attraction. I'm like, it's just mind-blowing. Hopefully, Mika, sometimes this show you might want to show on the side of the panel like some of the video that you picked up. I mean, Mika, you were picking up a gem there. Now, hope you get to do that in many African countries that are doing amazing work. Like in Nigeria, there's some work that have been done. In Kenya, there's some work that have been done that are amazing. In Rwanda and Ghana, there's so many amazing things that are going on the ground that are solutions that are already happening, but they don't seem to be lending direct linkage to the problem that we talk about. But they are solutions nevertheless. But I think hopefully that's enough sauce, enough fermentation here to just catalyze the conversation even to a deeper conversation, so you can go deeper, get dirtier on the issue. I'll get dirty on it, so that we can all feel enlightened and get wiser and have more insight, not just knowledge, but insight and wisdom as well.
Amen.
Oh yeah,
Anton. I'm sorry, Anton. Let me say one quick thing before you jump in, because I know you want to say something. The only thing that I want to say is that to me, there is no real solution to anything if it's not forward facing.
Exactly.
If we fall into the trap of just trying to find a solution for today, we've actually failed ourselves, because that's not really a solution. So the solution is really one that is for generations to come. And so if you begin from that perspective, then I think you can actually work your way to a genuine solution. Anton, go ahead.
I agree 100% with that. And I think, Ezra, you hit on a couple of important points. First and foremost, I mean, as you said, it isn't so much these solutions that don't already exist. I mean, when you talked, using your example about cluster farming, that was something where, you had two peers, two neighbors were talking to each other and saying, hey, wait a minute, you're doing this and this is working for you, and I'm doing this. We could then collectively do something. And that idea, that's a grassroots idea of being able to collectively find something that works and then grow it a little bit regionally. And as you said a moment ago, then that can be applied not only in Ethiopia, it could be applied in Nigeria and other places. And the real key for that, though, is communication and information. And to Bernard's earlier point about having an independent media, media, much like what you guys are putting together here, to where those ideas, where you can say, hey, this is what's working for us over here, and are you guaranteed to be applicable across the continent or across the world? No, but perhaps that can also be an idea or can, as you would say, increase the fermentation on someone else, saying, oh, wait a minute, these different farmers are doing this thing over here and it's working without, were they able to, collectively do these things? And then, hey, maybe we can do that idea over here. Maybe I can talk to my neighbor and maybe we can do these other things. And I think one key to that is having an independent media that is focused on the continent, that's focused on, solutions, there in place that are local regional solutions. So that way, whatever's working can then, and I guess one other piece of it is maybe a little less, and I'll say it, a little less ego, to where it's like, okay, me and my neighbors, we came up with this idea, and yeah, sure. But I mean, if it's something that is helpful across the board, maybe it doesn't have to have my name on it per se. Maybe it doesn't have to be, just mine, which isn't to say don't make money with it. Don't make it into a business. Sure, go ahead. But also make it to where you don't hold it back and keep it a secret because you don't want someone to use it and to make something good about it. And that's why I would say document it, and then release it. Document it and release it. So that way, you can make your patent, you can get your intellectual property, you can do all those things you need to do, but then have it be out in the marketplace. It's having a great idea in your head or having a great idea just there, very small, doesn't necessarily help the broader population and doesn't help the broader community. And so I think you hit on all the right points. I mean, I think that's I think that's the direction that we need to go.
Food for today is not the solution. Food for tomorrow is the solution.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
I mean, just to add to it, people were making fun of Dr. Abiy when he was visiting these wheat farms, promoting this approach to method. They were laughing, oh, you are at war in the north, and then you are visiting for farm for what? And then now like 3 years down the line, the world is facing food crisis because the major wheat producers are at war with each other, and then all of a sudden Ethiopia doesn't need to import wheat.
Exactly.
After probably at least a decade of these things. But the other element that people don't need to realize is that, like the like there's a lot of places where power is locked up. Like the power to dominate the world is locked up. There's a couple of dominators in the world, but the power that is not locked up is you people. We have millions, probably millions, hundreds of millions of Africans that are not connected to the world of power that can be tapped to solving problems that we haven't yet figured out how to solve, because they are there figuring out. Sometimes we get stuck in this. The world doesn't want us to prosper and succeed because they do this to block us. But nobody is blocking the farmers, neighbors coming together and then establishing a cluster. There's no way they can block that. There's no way. There's a whole suite of things, a whole host of things that can be done that are not on the purview of the global power dynamics, but that can be tapped into. What you can teach your child, they can't. Every minute of it, they can't control it. They can dominate the mainstream media and prevent your child from learning their true sense of self, but they can't prevent, the media can't prevent what you talk to, what you say to your daughters and your sons on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, and how you see your son. Sometimes how you see your children, like your eyes, your eye-to-eye contact. Nobody is in there. That place is an untouched space. It's an unexplored space. Sometimes the conversation gets stuck in how we can accumulate power, how we can shift power, how we can shift and up, and that kind of like the narrow space of what exists. But what is possible to do sometimes is as infinite as the number of people that are on the planet. And if you tap into that energy, one of our dear supporter and friend, Reed, talks about, focusing on the energy that is not yet organized, galvanized, and channeled in that energy. And that's what they did in Ethiopia right now, which is channeling on that simple connection between neighbors, and then just adding a little bit of flavor to it. It's like, okay, you can't organize on, let's say, getting tractors. The government can find a way to get you that, or African Development Bank can lend you a little bit of money to get seedlings or something like that. So those are the things that I thought were fascinating in the way we can address issues. Sometimes not getting stuck in the problem identifications, but really looking at the solutions separately from the problem sometimes. Not necessarily far away from it, but they are still linked with the problem identification, but really looking at the solutions. Don't get bogged down and, the problem is this. But that in of itself doesn't lend itself to a solution. So we don't get bogged down. We get bogged down in those kind of sticky problems, and then we get stuck in there, and then we don't advance forward because of those things.
Appreciate the brain. Appreciate so much for your contribution. I have Mickey on the line as well. Mickey, how are you, my brother? And what is your question to our lovely guest here today? Yes, Mickey, I can't hear you.
Oh, Mickey, me to the key.
Yes, we are building a new system that will work for our people inside. Hello, Mickey.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, how about
Can
now?
you talk again?
Okay, how are you doing, guys? How's everybody?
Doing well, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you guys letting me in on this conversation. I want to say hi to Professor Ezra, Mika, and everybody. My thoughts are, I just want to shift on the idea of the farming part that Ezra picked up, and I was looking up on a statistics this morning, and there was this saying, like, in Ethiopia, 43% of the land that was farmed in the previous years seemed to have this acidic part in the land, and that was caused because of the fertilizers that were getting imported from outside. And as I said, our own farmers know how to make the best out of the land and put it into the best productive sites, even with the additional help of the government and the elites with the statistics part. But they know the natural essence of the land. We know it. So I believe we need to work on that. And in addition to that, I just want to pick up, sometimes I think we focus on the problems that much because personally in our tradition in Ethiopia, we try to pick up anything if it's a problem from the roots. We just don't want to see it again. So as the higher the tree goes, even down goes the deepest is the roots. So I believe that's why we dwell on problems that much. I believe that's from my perspective. And educating the next generation is the main thing, because if we work on the small ones, the little ones, we're gonna see the Africa that we want to see, because you can't be hard on the little ones. So if everybody's focused on the little ones, everybody's gonna be humble. Like, we don't even, the big ones are creating conflict because we're looking against each other. If we look down to the kids, everybody's gonna be humble.
Amen.
So those are the 3 points I just want to pick up, and I want to see your points on it.
Amen. No, that really sort of echoes what I was. I'm sorry. So that really sort of echoes what I was saying before. Really sort of making sure that we're looking forward as we're discovering quote unquote solutions. Because if we're not making them for the littlest ones, for the least amongst us, for our children and generations to come, then it's really not a solution at all. And so the image that you have of a tall tree and deep roots is the perspective that we always need to have. We need to look back on what happened yesterday, learn those lessons so that we don't apply those mistakes that we made in the past to the future, but we can also sort of bring the successes from yesterday into the future as well. And so just to me, the posture, the Sankofa spirit, looking forward and behind simultaneously, to me is so key. And so just thank you for reminding us to have that posture constantly. Can't hear you, by the way.
Yeah, I was muted. So, I would add to that, one other
I
thing.
appreciate it too.
Is, when you mentioned, Mickey, earlier, that the farmers know how to work with their own soil. And part of the thing is that document it, capture that. I mean, there's so much going on worldwide, but in particular on the continent, that is known but not documented, not captured. And so that makes it harder to pass it on to the next generation. That makes it harder to then say, you've heard me talk a lot about things being co-equal. It's one thing, if someone has a well-documented methodology and then you take that up against an oral tradition, which may be more valid. But if it isn't documented and it's like, well, it's a little this and a little of that, it's hard to have them be co-equal. Yeah. And so I would say document it, that tradition, that thing that's working, whether it's farming, whether it's, building practices, whatever it is, document it. I mean, one of the things that made me a little sad, we had one of our guests earlier talking about architecture and how, there were organizations worldwide that say, oh, well, there's no architecture in Ethiopia, which we all know is not true. Mm-hmm. However, the challenge was, and our guest, this was Dawit, Bernard, you remember this, said that no one's written it down. No one wrote it down. And the different building techniques, the different architectural styles, no one documented it. And so then it's, there's nothing to stand up against this other assertion. You know, there's an oral tradition, but what happens when those people aren't around? What happens when those people either aren't present in the room, but also when those people just aren't around? And so document those things that are working, because that's how those ideas get preserved, and that's how those ideas can then be transferred and translated and combined with things that are working. Mickey was talking about applying the statistics, applying some of the analytical models to farming, combined with that local knowledge, if it's documented especially, means that you can get the synthesis, the best of both worlds, and make it move forward.
Yeah,
And
appreciate it. Yes, Bernard.
I have a question, and Mika, stop me if I go in the wrong direction, because I know that you want to have a certain kind of conversation. So if I'm going somewhere you don't want us to go, just say stop. We're not going in that particular direction. But
you're free, brother. You're free.
So we've been talking about food, and we've been talking about cultural preservation, and it brings me back to your earlier question, which was, how do we connect ourselves in the diaspora? How do we make sure that we sort of believe in the spirit of one Africa and work together, and how do we sort of foster those kinds of relationships? One of the things that we're doing is doing something called the Pan-African Food Festival, and we're going to be having our first seed event. It's going to be small, our first seed event in a couple of months. But I just want to hear from you what your thoughts are about food in both Ethiopia and Tanzania, and how that relates to culture, and if that plays any role in terms of cultural preservation going forward. And if I could even be more specific, I would love to hear about your ugali game. Is it cassava ugali, or tell me about the food that you love most in Tanzania, and how I can share that in the diaspora. How do I get that knowledge that you have, and how can we get that to others?
Write it down. Write down a recipe.
Mika, before you answer that, can I attempt a quick answer, and then, because my battery is about to die. Let me give you. There's so like I'm sure you're familiar with the food is central to African cultural expression, right? The way injera is circular is not just by accident. There's a reason why it's circular. The circle is considered in ancient Ethiopian time as a connector. So you sit in a round circle, you don't sit around a square. So circle is important. The mathematics of the circle, the science of it, the art of it, that circle is designed by design. It's supposed to bring all around you. Coffee is in a circle, and it's everything you eat around circle. And then I went to Ghana when I was in my high school. I also learned that food is central to the communication of love, compassion, and nurturing. So you use food. If you go to a family and you don't eat food, or they don't offer you food, it's a sign that there's no nurturing in that family. So there's a lot of communication that we communicate. We've turned in the 21st century, we've turned food as something to nourish the stomach. But in ancient African tradition, which has kept itself, is a way of communicating compassion, sharing, and loving. And so I think in that sense, like the food festival is not just about the actual thing. Oh my God, that was a delicious food? No. So did you meet this person? Did you meet that person? Or did you learn something new? Food. So we love food because we're going to meet somebody. We're going to interact with somebody. We're going to celebrate somebody's wedding, or we're going to mourn somebody. Like I know in West Africa, particularly in Ghana, a big festival after a month of somebody's buried, there's a funeral service. And funeral means celebration. Big speakers, amazing food. Like the whole community brings out the food. And then like the fufu, the whatever, every type of food that could be offered brings to the table. And it's not different on the other side of the continent as well. And I'm sure in many parts of Africa it's similar. But so you think of festival, I think you thinking about like preservation of culture. And the culture is not just the craft of the food, but the the message, the metaphor of eating food together, drinking coffee together.
Amen.
I would jump on that and say, amen, 100%. One of my favorite memories when I went to meet my then fiance's family, actually then girlfriend's family. When I went to go meet the family to get permission to marry her, it was one of those things to where we went around to other different people's houses, and one of the first things that the matriarch would say when I walked in would be, "Baby, are you hungry? Are you hungry? Can I feed you? Can I welcome you with some food and bring you into my circle?" And so I think that's something that is certainly common amongst all of us. And I think it's I think you make a very good point there, Ezra. And so when it comes time to be nourished, I always ask that. And people who come to my house are always, I'm like, "Are you hungry?" I always say baby, because I can't do it quite the way they do it down in Louisiana with my wife's family, but I always make sure people feel welcome, and that's, I think, a key part of showing your care, you're recognizing their humanity.
Amen.
Great. Well, so I'm gonna let the brain go right now, and we're just gonna close up this session. Anton and Bernard, we sincerely appreciate and welcome you to Soil Nation One Africa family.
Thank you.
Just a couple of comments here, and I think some of them are showing here. It's so informative session. Thank you, Africans. Go ahead. Respect to that. Education, educating the little ones is the most essential part of One Africa. And something here said majority of the African Union, that was old comment a little bit, funding doesn't come from the continent. If foreign funded and easy to manipulate. Okay, if foreign funded, it's easy to manipulate.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Excellent point.
AU needs to be pressured to represent the continent well. Someone else, AU should work by Africans for Africans. We can do it. Ethiopian dam is built by Ethiopians because the world ignored to give so much, ignored to give. So each of us contribute from our payment. So we should do that as Africans. Believe, yes, Africans, we can do that. Mika is right that one get a better perspective when looking at Africa from the outside, in contrast with the general mentality one passes if they never left the continent. Yeah, that was quite yeah, I appreciate for that. All right, guys. Well, I don't want to keep you here, guys, for a long time, but I wanna give you a chance as well, because this is just the beginning of this conversation. I will kindly ask you, for another time, later in the future, to come here with me, and maybe that time we'll have a specific topic to talk about. Today, I just wanted to be a spontaneous conversation like this. But I want to give you a chance to say anything that you feel like this is something that I wish Mika asked me today. You can ask yourself that question and share with us as well, because this is the community, and we are hungry for knowledge and just hearing from our brothers and sisters across the world. So yeah, please, you can have that moment.
Well, I want to say very quickly, one of the things that we are always looking for on our show is to hear from innovators. If you're doing something amazing in your community, we want to lift you up. We want to give you an opportunity to shine. And so if you're doing amazing things in your community, let us know. Reach out to us. Reach out to Mika. You can reach out to us at Sky is Black, and let us know, because I mean that is our mission, is to highlight those people who are innovating, who are creating those solutions, especially from the ground up. So I would say, you can find us on all the different social media platforms. And I would say reach out to us, especially if you are doing something amazing, or if you know someone who's doing amazing. We want to lift you up and highlight you.
Yes, and we are having this conversation today remotely, virtually, via technology, but I'm actually looking forward to the day when we can actually have this conversation in person. I talked about watching
Amen.
you at the Science and Technology Museum in Addis Ababa. How great would it be if we were able to have the conversation as we stroll through that building? And so I know some of those things will be coming up for us in 2023. Right now, what Anton and I do is a podcast, and so we have an ongoing conversation about these issues. But in 2023, we'll have more video, documentaries, other things that are part of our platform as well. And so we'll be out traveling a little bit more. And so I look forward to the day that we can actually have this conversation, not just sort of face to face, but as Ezra talked about, in the round, potentially over some food as we sort of connect in all ways. And so I'm just thankful for you, Mika, because you are such an inspiration to us. We are spiritual sort of brethren. We are working toward the same cause on the road to Wakanda together. And so we are with you, praying for you, want to support you in all the ways that we possibly can, because we are all in it together. So I just want to say that I really appreciate you.
Yes, likewise.
That means a lot. That means a lot. Thank you so much. And I remember that I didn't answer your question. Let me answer your question a little quick about the ugali. You know, asking
That's
about
right.
food festival, and I forgot to answer that. To be honest, like this time, I really love ugali. You know, in Africa, so many countries they're eating different kind of ugali. Like you go to Nigeria, they're having fufu, and they use different flour, right? If you go to Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and so many other countries, but here we mostly use maize flour.
Okay.
Yes, and I love ugali because ugali itself, it's kind of like tasteless. It doesn't really have any taste, but I cook by myself at home, so I always have all this like delicious side dish. Like one day, if you come to Tanzania, you guys have to visit me, by the way.
Can't
Come
wait.
and
We
visit.
will. We will.
I can't wait to show you this country. All right. And you guys will come direct to, at that time, we'll be having the Swahili Nation headquarters already.
That's
so
right.
you will have a conversation in the studio of our office, you know, right there.
Amen.
And I will make ugali for you guys and all these side dishes. Like I love cooking like fish. Sometimes I eat with fish, fried fish, vegetables, some like stew, like it could be like chicken or it could be beef stew, and it's just amazing. Like right now I'm saying this, I think I'm gonna go and make ugali.
That's right. That is great.
So that's and how can you guys if you, for instance, if you want to make that, I think the best thing that we can do is, and I think we're gonna be having this later in the future, like cooking shows in Swahili Nation. You know? We have our ladies who actually they actually know how to do it like better than I can do. You know, if I bring my mom here, my sister make it, man, like it's completely different. So I think we're gonna come up with some cooking shows to show different dishes from Africa. If you want to make ugali, these are the recipe, and this is how you can do it. You can make it. I think in that way, you guys will be able as well to learn through online and to see, you know, how we do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one person that you can learn from for Swahili cooking, you don't need to know this, Mika, but for those in the diaspora, Maria Malakias is an author and a Swahili cuisine expert, and so I had her on the Pan African podcast that we do. So her name is Maria Malakias. So look her up if you're in the diaspora. My daughters and I will be doing some recipes from her book.
That's amazing. That's great. Well, so I will attach the social media of Sky is Black on this video description. So you guys, you can reach out anytime. Please follow the social media. Take a listen to the podcast, you know, on Apple Podcasts, Sky is Black. But also, are you guys available on Spotify and other podcasts?
Yes, we're on Spotify. We're on. If you go to our website, skyisblack.com, you'll find links that'll take you to all the major podcast platforms.
Let me write here. Sky.
So Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple. So all the major platforms, and we are a global podcast, and so most of our listeners are in the United States, but the second most are actually in Ethiopia and in other parts of the diaspora. And so If you haven't listened to the show, please do so. It's one ongoing conversation about how we move forward collectively. And so,
right here. Here's the website, guys, skiesblack.com. Right. Anton and Bernard, I really appreciate you guys for stepping here today. Thank you so much for all you're doing. And thank you so much for being humble enough to be here and to have this conversation with me today. I really appreciate it, and I cannot wait to have
our honor, brother. It is our honor. Thank you.
Yeah, we are thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, yes.
Appreciate it. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.
Love you right back. One Africa.
That's right.
Appreciate it. One Africa. Oh,
Amen.
yeah.
Amen.
All right, guys. Well, such a beautiful day.
Yes.
And I'm just glad for this conversation that I had with my brothers right here today. Wow, this is their website, skiesblack.com. Please go and check it out. I think if you go to an option of podcasts here, you can see here listen now or show notes. So you can go to listen now, and I'm just gonna show you guys. Everything is right here. I think this is really important for our souls. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge is the key. Knowledge is power, and we have informations out there from our brothers and sisters everywhere. And the best thing we can do is just go and to tap into that. It's very important. So please go and check it out. And our episode will be coming, in a couple weeks to come. So I'll be able to share the link with you guys so that you may join and stay connected with that. So please stay connected to that. But also, oh, for a second I left there. But also, as I said before, guys, I'm gonna attach their social media on the description of this video, so you guys will be able to actually access it and to see everything that is happening. Also, let me just remind you guys again the announcement I made today. So Hill Nation Wana Africa, we found a place where we wanna be like our office for Soil Nation One Africa. And let me show you here a little bit exclusive video. I haven't shown this yet, so this is like the first time to show. This is the place kind of like from the inside, and I'll show you how it looks like. This one, what you see here is like at the middle here, we might put a little bit of the pattern so that we may have a studio on this side, and we can have office on the other side. Take a look a little bit how it looked like. That's how it looked like. So basically this is the place, guys. You can see the view right there. It's a nice, amazing view. And this is how it looks like. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. And I've shown in the GoFundMe page that we wrote that we need 25,000 euros in this page to raise because this room here every single month the rent is 1,200, like 1,200 euros or dollars, I can say, every single month. And but that is apart from there's every single month. So we calculated in 1 year, and in total approximation of 15,000 for the whole year, because we want to get it for 1 year. They allow people to pay it for 6 months or 12 months, but we want to pay at once, maybe 12 months, so that we may not struggle anytime soon. Like, we know that for 1 year we have an office, and this is where we are. And also 5,000 euros is for the office furniture and utility. As you can see, this is just empty office, right? This is how it is. But we need to buy furnitures. We need to buy like some chairs. We need to buy some tables, the conference for meeting and something like that. Maybe to break, in little part to break this room in little parts, so that we can have a person maybe of media somewhere there. We can have a person working on this somewhere there. So we need to do some stuff like that inside, and that we approximation of 5,000 euros. It might be more than that, but we'll come back to you guys and talk to you again. And the last 5,000 is for the studio inside this room. So we want to have a studio where we can have cameras, we can have lightnings, we can decorate a little bit, maybe put soundproof. We can have green screen. We can have like some desktop and some laptops. It's very important to have that in the studio as well. So all this conversation and all this interview that I used to do, I'm no longer going to be doing from here, but I'll be doing in the office. So if there are people coming to Tanzania here to visit, they will come to this building, to our office, and have the interview. For now, guys, I'm not going to show you the outside of this building because this one is 10th floor. It's actually going to be on the 10th floor, but it's an amazing building. It is in the great location. It's the place where you can access everything. All right. There's a restaurant, there's a mall next to it. There's just everything that you need. So I think, sometimes I think I'll bring my little carpet in the office and sleep there sometimes, what I'm saying? Because I always work at night. I'm more effective at night. So I kind of feel like I might be spending more time there than my own home, Yeah, so this is basically the place. Let me show again the video for you to just take a look of the inside and to see how it looks like. This is kind of how it looks like from the inside.
Studio pale.
1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see the office. It has like one big window here. I wanna, and also you have like 3 windows here. You have like 2 air conditions inside the office, and also, I have another video. You have a little kitchen outside of this, so there's a kitchen that you can share with other places that other offices are, and also this is the place where we can actually put a little bit of. It's just a little bit of curtain to kind of like separate the studio and the offices as well. So for the startup, this is the place we can use and actually have. So we need somebody who can actually design and know like how things are gonna be there. And so we came up with the conclusion of 25,000 euros, and that's what we are trying to raise right now. So with all being said, guys, I'm gonna share the link right here. So that you guys, you can, and the link is in the comment section. You can go, man, and you can support. You can donate any amount that you have, all right? Any one of them, you can go and do that. And I'll tell you this, guys, you don't even need to give super chat right now or super stickers. Just go and donate something, for the office, because that is the priority right now. That is the priority right now, to get the office, to get a place where we can actually operate. And once we have office, then we'll be able to register, because we'll have the address secured, right? And I've been given a couple days, actually not really couple days, but as soon as possible, whenever we get the amount of money that it will be like, let's say if we get like 1,200, if we get 1,200 euros, this is what I'll do. I'm gonna go direct to the management and pay that money for the deposit, so that I may secure the place, because there's only 2 rooms left, and a lot of people are coming to take them because of the location and how good it is. So if the longer we delay, we might miss the opportunity and have this place. So as soon as we reach to 1,200 euros here, I'll go right away to pay that money to secure the place, because you need to deposit that money, and then later on, once we raise money enough to pay for the whole year, then we can pay that as well. So please support any way you can. I'm going to share the link here in the comment section again. This is what we'll be talking about from now onward every single day, to remind everybody. Share this link. You can share on your social media. You can share on your stories. You can share on WhatsApp groups. If you ever wanted to support Soil Nation One Africa, if what we are doing in here impacted you or blessed you in any ways, so please, it's the time to raise your hand and to actually support what we are doing. And the good thing of that is that whenever you see the office, you always remember that I contributed something in this. And when you come and visit this country, you'll actually come and see the place where you contributed something. It's like a house. It's like you have a little brick and you put somewhere. When I went to Ethiopia, I helped to re-innovate, to build the oldest church in Gonda. You guys remember that video, right? I was like a black Spider-Man all the way on the top, and I was trying to go here and there, right? Every time I look at that building, I know that I helped to build, because they actually re-innovate it after every 20 years, 21 years. And it was just amazing that the time I went there was after 21 years, and I did that. There's this sense of fulfillment, actually, I feel inside of me, that, man, I participate in doing something that is very significant in Africa's history. So every single thing you see, we do. The work we have been doing, everything we have been doing from home. The videos you have seen, the production we've done, even right now, I'm home right now. We have been doing from that. And you guys have been seeing the impact that we have been making outside there. So God is good. We thank God for that. Imagine if we have a space where nobody will come and tell me that, hey, Mika, can you reduce voice? You're making a lot of noises here. A place where we can be free because we own it. We pay for it. We own everything. Imagine if we have a place to do our projects every single day. We have a place where I can have different guests. Right now, it's even hard to have different guests in my home because I don't want people to know where I live, so I cannot really invite them here and have interviews. I want it to be very private, but once we have office, is a place where you can actually have people coming in the office, having interviews with them. When you guys are planning to come and to visit us as an office, as a registered organization, you can actually write a letter to you because you're coming to our office. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things that we'll be able to achieve. That's, I think, is the first thing before everything else. So this office that we have here on StreamYard and YouTube, we are moving it to a physical location. You know what I'm saying? And this is the headquarters. So we need to give everything we can to make sure we establish that. That's our priority right now. And we are not going to sleep until we get 25,000 euros and get that office as soon as possible. As soon as possible. And it is possible. Just think about this. We have like almost 30 people watching here. Let's say that every single person who is watching here right now let's say this. Every single person who is watching right now, let's say you give $5. Let's say just $5. All right. We are almost, let's say, 30 people times $5. That is $150. And that is only 30 people. But just imagine if we have like 1,000 people and give just $5. It's already 5,000. 1,000 people give $5 is $5,000. We already have the studio to start up with. All right. You have another 1,000 people each one person give $5. We have another $5,000. We have all the furnitures and the utility a little bit in the studio. Imagine you have that. We still need like 15,000 for the office. And then you have like 15,000 people giving that. Man, it's like how many people? Well, let me do it here. It's very simple. 25,000. Let's do calculation. Divide by $5. Guys, we need 5,000 people, each one person to only give $5. 5,000 people to give $5. That's it. That's what we need. And in our family here, we have more than 200,000 people subscribed. We can get 5,000 people to give only $5 each person. Let's start that campaign. All right. 5,000 people to give only $5. If you're here watching right now, just give $5. Just give that for startup. We need 5,000 people to get 25,000. All right. To get 20, we need 5,000 people to give 5,000 to get 25,000 euros. That's it. Only 5. So if you can, please support, please help. And I'm pretty sure if we do that, then, it's going to happen. And man, the next time you talk to me, I'm telling you, in that office, even as soon as we get the office, I don't even need interior yet or furniture. I'll just go with this chair, sit there, and I'll do the live stream from there. That's what we need. Of course, we need to pay for electricity in that building because that is separate. We need to pay for internet, and that's why all of that is in the utility, like the furnitures and utility as well. So yeah, that's the campaign. The campaign is on, and I'll share that with everybody. We need 5,000 people to only give $5 each person. $5. So let's say you're saying, okay, $5 is too little. Like let me just acknowledge these people who gave already. We still have 2 people gave here. We have Netsanet, and we have His Excellence Ezra, the brain, gave, and in total is $300, 300 euros. But imagine just having 5,000 people with $5. Okay, I have Big E. I think Big E want to say something. We're having meeting today. Yes, my brother. You want to say something about this promotion?
Yes. I just want to add more. Is like individually it can be hard, but collectively we can make a difference. And I'm looking through our subscribers list and everything else. If really everybody look at it, I just made some calculation. It was like 10 cents if all subscribers would chip in, within the 200,000 that we have. It was just a rough calculation. So it comes like to 10 cents each. So I think for the call that we're in and everything that we doing, what we're working for, to have this One Africa organization being really taken off, having our own office, our own way of ruling things, that gives us more power. And in any business, because even though we're a foundation, it still has to be treated as a business. And this is our business. This is an African business. And it's collectively put together. And the money that's there is just the initial cost that we have, including the office and everything else. So we should be proud. I mean, I can see it's going to happen. And we should all really be proud to really fund this. And I think we can make this. I encourage everybody to deeply see yourself, inside of yourself, see what we did so far, and imagine now that we have really established an office and really officially we got a solid place where they can any meetings, any fundraising, anything that we want to do when it concerns for One Africa, we have the place and we should be proud of it. It's a great achievement. It's one of our goals, and as you can see, all our milestones are met, and we even went beyond the milestones. So I encourage everybody to be generous and look inside and say, what are you supporting? And all of the followers that followed us until now, I see a lot of positive thing coming out of it. So let's get strong. Let's put ourselves together and have our office, definitely, and help Mika. One thing that Mika is running on fuel, right? It's supposed to be a fuel, but he's running on fuel. So we need to make sure that his vision is intact. He created this platform. He's putting the vision collectively together with the essential. And he has to have something that to support him, because he never asked. Mika never asked. Mika does what Mika does. But we, as members, as a family, we have to take care of each other, because people don't ask. And one of the people that I know is Mika. Mika is putting all his brain, all his time, his everything, creating this platform, putting all the vlog, traveling for us on our behalf. It's very hard to leave home and travel abroad and being able to do such a thing that really not done on a regular basis. Everybody saw the anticipation. Even when we did the GoFundMe, we did good. We delivered. So we're not going to stop it there. We're going to keep on moving. We're going to keep pushing the envelope, and until we achieve our 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. And that's going to be achievable definitely when they know that we are established foundation, including our office showing. Believe me, we'll make a great impact in Africa. So think individually. Those of you who followed us, who listen to us, those of you even view our vlogs, go in your deep in your heart and understand this is our mission. We're not going to fail. We're going to keep on going forward. And that's going to be your organization. That's going to be the platform you collectively put together. And it will be a proud moment for all of us. I don't know if you guys recall when we had the 200,000 counting. It goes up, it reaches 200,000 and comes back down again. And I mean, what an excitement. What an excitement. Yeah. The launch of One Africa in Ethiopia, what an excitement. I mean, it's an achieved goals, you know. These are the milestones that it happened because of all of us putting our heart and soul and money, whatever that it needs to get done. So again, we've done it before, and we're going to do it. This time is going to be really the home run. It's one of the home run that we're going to hit this month. Hopefully, we'll start on the July. You know, this is my aim. And if we all chip into it, I think we're going to be really shining much better than a lot of platforms that everybody went and seen, but we are really adamant to achieve our goals. And again, I thank you really for those who's on the comment, that listening to us, see this thing happening, and being with the family, as all of us as family members, because again, we're all family. You know, this is no denial, and we're gonna grow, and we're gonna bring a lot of the youngsters that are out there striving, trying to do something, where One Africa platform will give them the opportunity on how we're gonna excel. This is just the beginning. This is just the basics that we're trying to do to stand on our feet. So all your help on this. It helps everybody. It helps us as Africans. You know, this is for our own goal, for our own mission, and collectively we have our vision. Collectively we have our way of doing things. So be generous, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Biggie. I really appreciate for your words and your voice. Thank you so much. You know, I think this is what I'm going to do. Appreciate Sam for your contribution. This is what I want to do. I want to end this live stream, and I want to come back again with another live stream specifically for this campaign that I wrote here down. That if each person, we just need, I just want to say, we just need 5,000 people. That's the number of people we need. 5,000 people for each person to only give €5. 5,000 people, we give €5, then we reach our goal. We'll have office, we'll have a studio, we'll have furnitures, we'll have utility as well. 5,000 people, €5. That's a little campaign that we can actually, you know, find those 5,000 people. You know, we start with us who are here. That you have €5, you give €5. The link is in the comment section, and I know that you know, we are going to get this office. You know, we can get this office like anytime, as long as we have the 5,000 people here. We have €5 already. Actually, right now it's even, you know, decreased because we already have €300 right there. But let me just leave like that. We need 5,000 people for each person to give €5. We have 25,000. We have everything.
So that means for $5 you have an office.
Yes. Yeah.
You're $5. Yeah. You have an office.
you see how I can even go and say like 10,000 people, and for everyone to give this, I can go there. But we just need 5,000. Let's start there. For €5, we have an office. You have an office for €5. You see, this is One Africa we're talking about. Unity is power. And that's what unity
Mika, we got 200,000 subscribers. Okay. Yeah. Now imagine, you know, to that 10 cents level that I came in, you know, in $1, euro, $1, €1, even whatever that, if you really look at it, we are really in the right place at the right time, and it's needed. So 5,000. Imagine for $5. I mean €5. You be proud saying, hey, this is my foundation, because this is a foundation that you put in, and it's not gonna just stay there. We're just gonna keep moving. We have bigger fish to fry, but at least we're gonna have a home, a shelter that our organization represent. And so for $5, you literally have an office that you be proud that you built along with everybody else. You'll be proud to announce, hey, we got a place, and pass on the word. This is the moment that we all shine, because this is our office, this is our foundation. We're the only ones that's going to support it. We don't expect anybody else outside that we have right now as a family, because again, this is a family affair. This is an African family affair. So for €5, you got an office. You proud. You can even be functional. Now you can send an email, say, hey, One Africa, I want to do this, I want to do that. At least we have a place where we have faxes, we have printers, we have the studio, we have producers. That's going to be really a lot of volunteers that want to produce. Now, when we start becoming on a production level, and we're going to be really represented with our seal, our signature, that's going to be delivered. And that would be giving us an opportunity for the rest of Africa to open other opportunities. Like today, you just did a little coverage on the agriculture sector, things like that. Hey, Africa, One Africa is looking into this farming. Okay, then we're going to be collectively be able to set something. Now we have home. We have an office. Any mail that comes in, anything that comes in, it's a business. Put it that way. It is a business. Yes. We volunteer our time. We put all these efforts and everything else. But at the same time, when this thing start igniting, you need a place where people can mail something, or they can send something. There's it's on the map, and you have the organization. The foundation is there. It has a lot of impact. So that means the opportunity for African is getting bigger, because we have a place now that we can talk to. This is not something that we do like from home, whatever. Most of us will do remote. Okay, fine. But at the same time, we need Mika to be really on his office, be on his production. So he will have a clear view of everything. It's an office environment, and he's going to be really productive about it. We don't want him to worry about things that he's not supposed to worry about, like furniture, like cameras, studios. This is what is going to help him. It's going to help him tremendously, and everybody will be motivated. Once we got that office open, I guarantee we're going to have a lot of there's a lot of other things that is in the work, but I won't say much. But let's build this. Let's build this.
You see a lot of people. You see a lot of people coming along. Let's
believe me.
Build it together. Let's show the spirit of One Africa. This is how we build it. And I love what Biggie said, that we don't expect anybody else to do this for us. All right, that mentality that we always talk about. We cannot just expect things coming from outside. We always say that, and we blame our leaders that they always ask for loans and all those stuff. Well, we don't expect for anybody to do that, because we believe, just like Ethiopians, the way they built that dam, we believe that us here, Soil Nation One Africa, we can actually build our own office, and this is just the beginning, but we'll have our own headquarters, we'll have our towers, everywhere in this Africa, you know what I'm saying? So we need this support, and we need you guys to engage yourself and to be involved, because it's very important for us. These offices are in Dar es Salaam here in Tanzania. I've already showed the team a couple of videos, but for you guys, I'm waiting to go there. Like the day I deposit the money, like that's why I'm not showing it, because I want when I go there, we get, because Biggie, we just need right now here, if we can get this right now, if we can get, we have here 300. Somebody already donated 15. Somebody donated 5 and another one 10. Appreciate you guys. So we have 315. So we have somebody anonymous donated, like for 2 people, $10, 10 euro, and then we have another person, Abu Yak, donated 5 euro. It's exactly the campaign that we are doing. So if I get here today, like if we get here today 1,200, I think that's why I want to come back with another stream to just do that. If we get 1,200, I'm going to pay for the deposit. And once I pay for the deposit, I'm going to take video of that building, where it is and everything, and I'll make a special video to share with you guys. I can do that tomorrow, but we need to get 1,200 first.
Yep, absolutely.
And we can get that
Absolutely, and the funny thing that you said, Abiaka put $5, right? €5. It's exactly it. It's €5 that we said, and it symbolizes it. And you all know Abiyak being given is very generous. He's been given in the past. He does a lot of things, but he symbolized it. He said, "You got €5?" He said, "I'm going to put that €5." I can see that Abiyak doing it. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna be laughing about it.
You can do more than that. I was just saying, that's the minimum.
He symbolized it. I'm very sure the way he did, because I've seen him doing a lot more different. But I love it. I know if I'm €5 short, believe me, we'll have another €5 somewhere. So I really appreciate for everybody that really donating to this great cause. It's a big commitment. Imagine it's not just the foundation, but all of you that participate in this. This is not a one-time deal. We want to make sure that you guys participate on any avenue, any opportunity that's going to be created in the future, because a building without ideas and leaders is nothing. So we trying to really put this leadership and creating this environment where it's going to be benefiting all of us, because this is the financial side, but financial is by itself, it's not everything. We still want you to come in our shows. Make sure you put your ideas, your thoughts, because the more we put on this platform, the more idea and the better we're going to be performing, because we're going to great leaders coming in for us. So think about it. This is not just about finance only. This is about participation. Take 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever that you have. I know everybody's busy and doing something, but the fact that you're in and you're looking at just a little bit of what's going on, that it would really appreciate you really appreciate yourself, because you're spending some time, and that time is very valuable. So this is not just on this running for just for the finance part of it, but the participation is very important. So please, again, subscribe. Make sure that you share to everybody. Make sure that they understand we have this link now for the GoFundMe. So it's very important that everybody pull the shares, because we have 1.3 billion Africans, but the subscriber base that we have, we trust that we can make this happen. It's 25,000 euro, and we can make it happen. So think about it, as few that we're going to put this in reality. We're going to help 1.3 billion Africans in any which way. And we have a lot of things upcoming. That's going to be the interest, especially the young. because this is time for the young to grab this opportunity and expand it. The sky's the limit. So this is what we're creating. So not just the money, but we just want to make sure everybody participate and see what you achieved, collectively. This is a big network that we're creating. As family, we never shied than calling you. You come in once, you're in. You're family. Because this is our attitude. Because this is a platform for African by Africans. We should be proud of it. We didn't have this opportunity before. This is the opportunity. This is the time. We're gonna run with it. It's like a torch that's lit. And let's take the torch on the other side of the world. Let's run with it. So I really appreciate you for all that you are contributing.
Appreciate. I already made the live stream for this, and I will also share the link because I would love to have. I mean, it depends if the host will be available. Then we can have pretty much like all the hosts in that live stream. To kind of like have this campaign tonight. Hopefully we can get 1,200, so that tomorrow we may do that. Let me share this and there with in the team, and it will start in like 2 minutes. I already made it. For now, I will stop this one, guys. But there's already a live stream there. We're gonna go live in just a few seconds to do that campaign. The matter of the fact, I already put it. It's already live. So what you guys can do is, just run there. All right. Don't run away from YouTube, but you can run there, and I will share some link in our group as well to remind our to kind of like ask the team as well if they can come and to have conversation about this. It's gonna be great. Let me do this to show you guys where's the live stream now. Where's the YouTube? Okay, it's right here. The YouTube. Okay. Let me share with you guys. Guys, that the link right there. Let me share with you to see, and then I'm gonna end this. We're live right here. This one. All right. €5 campaign for SNOA office. Let me share this link. This is the live stream there. Let me share this link with you guys here so that we may just move, leaving here and going there. €5 campaign right here. This is the link of the other live stream. So I'm just gonna close this live stream for now because I don't want to mix up, and I think I will cut out the part where I've been talking about this so that I may just leave the conversation with my two brothers. I don't want to lose that focus. But you can go to that link in the comment section. That's where we're gonna have the conversation. We are live on One Africa YouTube channel. We are live on Swahili Nation Facebook, Swahili Nation Twitter. But right now we'll be live on every other platforms, even my personal Twitter as well. We'll be live for that €5 campaign, and spread the word that we need €25,000 and we need 5,000 people for each person to give €5. That's the minimum. €5. You can give more than that, or if you don't have that less than that, it's fine. You can do that as well. But we need the number 5,000 people to give only €5, and when we'll reach our goal, and we have those people here in Swahili Nation One Africa. It's action. This is the place for action-oriented, platform. This is where we say 20. Oh my goodness. Let me just go there first. Because I'm already excited. We say 2020, we say 2022 is the year of action. And this is the action we're talking about. This is one of the actions. Oh my goodness. Let me get out of here and go there to the other stream. Let's just pray a little quick, and then we'll move there. God, I thank you for today. Thank you for this conversation I had with my brothers Bernard and Anton. It was just a refreshing moment of learning, understanding, knowing, and growing. I thank you. And I just want to pray for the campaign that we just started to get our own offices for 5,000 people, to each one of them to give €5. And we're just going to continue with that campaign tonight. And we hope that God, everything will go all right at the end of the day. But whatever the case, we still give you praise. I pray all these things in your name. Amen. All right, guys. The link is in the comment section, YouTube. That's where we're going to meet. Let's meet there in a second. See you guys.